doing my best with this video. I'm just in any way. The light, the smoke as well from the stove. I've got to fix it. It needs a bit of maintenance, and I'm also using firewood. And with firewood, there's more smoke than the smokeless coal. So it adds a little bit to, you know, how would you describe it? A cold winter's night with atmosphere. Let's try and get one closer to the camera at least, that should be better. There we go. I'm exhausted. I'll start there because the last few days have taken it out of me to such an extent. I'm past my ability to really tune in with my body and my life. But I mean, I didn't get up until 4 o'clock today. Yesterday was supernatural in terms of insanity, and in terms of pain, and in terms of and what it looked from outside, what it looked like of me looking in from the outside was someone who's lost their mind, someone who's gone insane, or someone who's in a lot of pain. I guess I tick all those boxes. But you know, I guess now, saying it for the first time, you know, what is sanity, what is not, is sanity. I look like a floating face, don't I? Is sanity that we fit in with the status quo and not get a label by the status quo of mentally disturbed. Either way, I got my label quite a few years ago, and where I got my label quite a few years ago, I have accepted my madness, that I'm mad by the label of society, because I've worked all the way through it. I've thought to myself, I can still claim that I've got to myself an element of sanity within my decision making. And within those decisions, what's left is a case of I'm sane with my actions, and there's apprehension in me saying this now, because I'm like, oh fuck, I don't want to put extra pressure on myself. But I'm saying within my decision making, to myself, that I know that I've given however many number of years energy to making sure that, well, not making sure, but meet the status quo. In other words, asking, I guess, all right, you've put the label on me mentally ill. And in the early stages, I couldn't see the way I was disturbed. At the early stages of my mental health, there's no arguing that. But I was in denial to it. And that was my mental disorder. But then, the treatment I had from the mental health system based on all my life's energy up until that point. In other words, I'm just trying to find the salt. I don't know what I've done with the salt. Might have to be saltless later. Can't waste any more time on that. So it was based upon all my energy that I'd given to life. And in my life, I'm Greek. And you know, well, you should all know the Greeks, ancient Greeks, stem from love, in the sense of that's what their culture was about. Where the Eskimos' life was snow, and they had to deal with snow every day. The Greeks had 24 words for love, and I guess they had to deal with love every day. And don't think about love, airy-fairy, oh yeah, I've fallen in love with my romantic partner, we're going to be married forever, we're going to have children, blah, blah, blah. That's probably one aspect of love. Can you raise your mind to a love that looks like this? Or a case of a love that's on the opposite spectrum of that? What we're saying? Mine's gone blank. Oh, my brain is really taking a beating. So I might have to just allow the panic to settle in. Regain my composure, and it might be that I'll have to go off on a different tangent for a second or two. So what were we saying? We started by saying looks like a dark winter's night. In terms of my life, yeah, that's it. That's everything. How do you see me? That's it from my decision making. So in terms of my decision making, that's where I start. Words, the Greek culture, which has played a massive influence in my life, my upbringing, where I had it on to an extent. Greek culture, the families all together, the different aspects, like the cousins, they see each other, I guess, in Cyprus. That's the feeling I get. I don't really know. And then over here, I've got my family, the more condensed family, which was my mother. And within that, I also had my mother's family in the UK. So I had much still there and present culture in that essence. And then I had a holiday every so often to Cyprus, and I experienced a totally different culture in terms of my Dad's family, a very, very different, parallel to everything else. So love was there, of it as well. So I had a chance to have a really good look at what my culture means to me, and in turn what love. So that's there as a basis of who I am. Then beyond, I've turned to spirituality basically in my life, and spirituality has been a driving force. That's where I put a lot of my energy. That's where my studies have been. That's where my love has been. And then we've got modern times. I'm a normal person to the modern world. I enjoy taboos and luxury like everybody else, and I have no shame in that, because I try to also manage it consciously. So anyway, when the label was put on me at the time and I couldn't accept it, that's fair enough. We're all in denial sometimes. That's the whole point of a mental health disorder to a certain extent. If you're in denial, or how much of a mental health disorder do you really have, it's brought into question your interaction with everybody else. You know, you've got a mental health disorder if within your consciousness you're sane enough to treat people inappropriately to yourself. So there's an energy needed there, and or if you know you're not mentally ill, you realise the outside world's fucked or inadequate. Let's use that word. And where its inadequacies are, if they put a mental health disorder label on you at the time, it's just like insignificant to you. It's just like another day. But for me at the time, it was very significant. Reassurance, I didn't know myself at the time. So where I was in denial, I needed to question it. I needed to know for myself. The system, this was my first real, obviously we've got school, we've got education. And with school and education, that's our first real, and everything else, and what it means to us. But we're a child. Yeah, sure, some of us can voice and speak up, but ultimately it comes down to if you're a rebel, you get put in detention. If you don't go to detention, your parents get called in. If you still are too wild for the school system, you get expelled. And it's as simple as that. That's the, well, here in the UK. And that's our first real interaction of the outside world. But what I want to try and show you is, unless you're the absolute rebel who just like doesn't give a shit and gets expelled, really in perspective of the outside world, then it's work. And I guess with work, I just try to be a child again, like I was at school. Just learn my lessons, do what I can, speak when it's appropriate, and just be on point. So my real first interaction with the outside world came with a mental health disorder label. And I needed to understand it, I needed to know it, and I needed to grow from it. Oh, brilliant. I've just realised I've relaxed my diet ever so slightly. and changed it, modified it. I picked up some brown sauce at the supermarket yesterday, and I love brown sauce from back in the day. I'm making lamb burgers at the moment, so I'm just realised I can put brown sauce on my lamb burgers. I didn't mean to. It's just a nice surprise. So we were saying that was my first real interaction with other people. What does the world mean to me? And I'm sure this has happened. Speaking it now, I'm realising it for the first time. That must have happened with everybody else also. We all have our time when the world comes and knocks on our door. And for me, the Lord knocked on my door with a label saying, "You got a mental health disorder." And I said, well, it doesn't matter what I said, I was wrong. Because I was wrong. I couldn't see myself. I didn't know myself. I had to see my failings. For whatever reason, that was my time to say, right, well, okay, that's fine. This is what should have happened. So rewinding to that time, what the nature of the interaction was asking was to say, right, Andreas, this problem, we are saying this problem to you. What, in everything that you are, do you respond to take action? Because action is needed. Even inaction, because someone's knocked on your door. You have a chance to open the door or not. You have to make that decision. And in that decision making, it's the process of action. For me, I probably wouldn't have opened the door ever. But because I was disturbed, I opened the door. I opened the door and everything that came out was wrong. It was inappropriate. It was mistaken. But it was also truthful. It was also honest. It was an aspect of utter nature to everything. And I guess what happened in that moment was two things. One was when I communicated, I was speaking through my mental health disorder, which I didn't know I had at the time. And two, the world was speaking to me through the mental health disorder that I saw in them, with everything that I had learnt up until that point in my life. And obviously, because that was within me, so there was a confrontation. And I wasn't in my centre, I wasn't well. And since. So it's my job with who I am, who I was as a person before that, to see the situation as well. It's not only to take the higher ground, but it's to see the situation, it's to see the world and know that I am an individual, know the world is the world, and who the fuck is going to fight the world? You've got to have a mental health disorder. So in fighting, in that, there was really a call to be absolutely, how would you describe it? To me, it seems like that must happen with a lot of people, and that must happen with everybody. And I guess when the system comes knocking and says, look, this is your mental health problem, they're saying, look, this is what we're giving you in the present moment. Because everybody's ill and we know that. And we know we're ill. That's where we're ill, through your illness. So that's essentially where I am in terms of mentality. And because I've fought all the way through it, and I've worked, and I've had to see my failings, and I've grown as a person, and I've gained awareness, and I've understood the world more, and the world's expanded, and my understanding of it more, and in that expanding of it, I understand less of the entirety. So of what I knew of the world before, I know exponentially more. But in terms of what I actually know in, is it ratio? Yeah, I think it's ratio. So what I knew of the world then, in terms of what I thought the world was, is a lot more than what I know of the world now, because the world has expanded. So the ratio is far less. Anyway, the reason I selected this title was because I've been all over the shop, and my mental health jumps on these live streams every so often and says, make a live stream about this, make a live stream about that. And I don't really give a shit what I make a live stream about. It's not the point. That's not true. I do care, but often the final decision is not to care. So that's the way I just keep my mind to it on the whole. And where that's my decision making on the whole, and I've been getting ideas, I'll make an idea about this spiritual concept, make an idea about that spiritual concept, complain about this, complain about that, complain about the other. Proving a point or real sharing ideas. And I was here and I was in the moment, and I realised how I really need to get on and find a spirit to bring me out of that. And just connecting with the one viewer that I might get for like 2 minutes is enough. And where I need salt, man. I can't make saltless burgers. Can't let my burgers be better. Can't let McDonald's burgers be better than mine. That's not on. So connecting with one person for a minute or two gives me the spirit to live. The idea pops into my head just before, just totally random. How do you see yourself as a title topic? I thought, sod it, let's go with that. So I've expressed how do I, and then how do you see me? Because, well, on yesterday's performance, there's no doubt I'm insane. On what we've said so far, I guess what I'm saying is really, it's how conscious are you? Because I'll be absolutely brutally honest, and I don't mean to hurt anybody, but I know from what I know of the world, this could hurt. And that is, I look at the world as stupid. I look at the system as stupid. I can possibly see some wisdom in it. So the system is either stupid, or the system is wise beyond comprehension, that it hides its light to such an extent that it's prepared to murder and allow war to exist. That's my perception of the system. And unless I know an individual that, or you show me that you, as an individual, you are prepared not to show your light, but for whatever reason your light is shown, who you are. You're not playing a game. At least I can see an aspect of your consciousness. Because if you hide your light, I mean, you're still the same consciousness, you're still the same God. There isn't God and this, oh, I'm number 9 God and this God is number 12. No. God's God. With God, numbers don't exist. We're all even. We're all separate. We're all on a scale, but because we're all even, at some point, we're all even. There's no levels. So if one of us as gods wants to show me, for whatever reason, their godness, this God appreciates that in this world. Because that's my journey, and that's, I wouldn't say who I am, but that's what I've been allowed to come to as an aspect of my perception to the world. It will change one day, I'm sure. For now, it's the way this body views the world, this mind views the world. And this body appreciates when other bodies allow that aspect of God within them to be shown. Don't know why. It's just the way it is. No need to overthink it. But in terms of what we were saying, unless this body can see any aspect of your godliness exist, there's only God. There isn't sex with God. Exists, the woman comes first. If sex exists and the woman comes first, the word God is feminine. And if we want to play any level of mind game with language, we need to find a word, a masculine word. So, are you a god or are you a godder? Can you think of a better name to describe a masculine god? Unless I can see any aspect of your God, your consciousness that you're prepared to show to this world, where the world hides any level of God within them. In fact, I don't know if the world is the God or the devil, because war exists. Is it a case of God is the primordial? And sure, the devil exists because there has to be aspects of evil in the world, because evil is part of everything and God is everything. Or is it a case of, in terms of the world, the greatest trick the devil ever played was to tell the world that God existed? I don't know. So unless I can see from my godliness that I know of myself, your God or your Godder within you, then for all intensive purposes, you might as well be the devil to me. Doesn't mean that's how I'm going to treat you, but I've got to be honest. In reality, I don't know. And in reality, if you might be the devil, talking in relation of an artificial construct, and in that terms, the devil exists. But I take the same attitude in, and for all intensive purposes, you're God, but you're lost within everything. And where you're lost within everything, you might be claiming, you might be tasting evil in that moment, because evil exists. The devil exists. So in that moment, you might be tasting the devil. And for that reason, I'm apprehensive. If I see your godliness, aren't I? There are very few people that show their godliness in this world. And from my perspective, this world says, no, not this world says, experiencing what insanity looks like from an inside perspective, viewing myself, seeing the world viewing me back, I might as well be not evil, but I can definitely see this is like the image of what evil looks like, you know, screaming for no reason, in walls, and we've got the movie the Poltergeist. That was too much of a wuss, and but I know it exists. And with horror movies, you know, the poltergeist looks like a person, a human being, to what this world says is a human being. So far detached and from behaving like a human being. That's the difference. And if you look at me, I don't behave like a human being from an outside perspective. So within, I know and I'm aware that other people could view me as anything, because I don't behave like another human being, and because people are aware of and all of that, and I'm into spirituality and all of that, and I can scare the shit out of people, and I don't really give a shit about people anyway. So because I don't really have that applied courtesy within my very bones, I know people could view me and in their wisdom to put hesitation over seeing me and labelling me in any way. And in the absolute wisdom, the top wisdom would be to say, right, this is Andreas, he looks like this. For all I know, he could be the devil, he could be like a poltergeist sort of person and put spells on me. Or he could be absolutely sane within a fucking insanity. Who knows? And that's the absolute wisdom you can apply. Adding it to the absolute, but who's enlightened in this world? So I need to find that fucking salt, man. So that's how you could view me. So I'm asking you, how do you see me? Within your wisdom, how impartial can you be? Because you don't know what magic all of that combination of infinite input data has had to allow me to be the present moment. Now you're going to see me get annoyed because I need to find that salt. I have the capability for anger. And if you've watched any of my videos, I also put people down. I will shout and tell people off. My dad loved me to the absolute. I know that. But I also know he was a human being within his godliness. And he was imperfect. No, he was imperfect. Because he healed this world, made the world perfect. So in his interaction with me as a child, he would have been absolutely truthful and honest as God in its purest sense. Not playing fucking games or fucking anger. And at times, coming from a Greek culture, getting the old bandofla out. Bandofla, for those of you who don't know, means slipper. Once or twice he got the belt too. But with the slipper, for whatever reason, my dad went the route of leather. So I've experienced and I've eaten a leather on my arse. And I raised that taste of food, that fucking foul taste in your mouth as a conscious being that it leaves. Feed you bandofla when you don't want to eat bandofla, when you're pure innocence and you've done nothing but live. Because you're an innocent child. And I've raised, and I know bandofla is love. An aspect of love is a failing. It's a failing of, no, it's not a failing, it's just, well, yeah, on one level it's a failing, but in reality, bandofla is a point in time between the body and the God. Because who would want to feed a child bandofla for no reason in their utter godliness? Maybe my dad was tasting evil. But in the tasting of evil, he hadn't done the fucking work on his body. Because in the interaction for this world isn't healed. Expression of evil, first and foremost to the other human beings alive, is eradicated. If you want to go and taste evil, and you want to go and hack a tree down because you want to be evil and you want to be insane, go and fucking... At that level, when we're fucking eradicated evil to each other, nature would be so perfect in what nature is, because to each other we need nature there as the... Sure, you can have technology. Nature is first and foremost. Nature is the backdrop. And at that level, nature is so perfect, it can absorb our evil expression. And of love, nature, for no reason, because we want to taste evil and devil. We don't need to go and feed another human being bandofla. I've got no problem with my dad's. I do. Well, my problem isn't with my dad. The problem isn't with the incident. My problem is with the fucking... Because I'd love to have children one day. But I look at my dad and I see the imperfections in him. And I can't feed my children bandofla. I'm too much of a wuss. And or if I fed them bandofla, I'd give myself too many mental health problems that I can't deal with. Plus, it's illegal in the UK. Not that it wasn't back then. But either way, the world needs to be healed. There's work to be done to gain the authority to really raise children in this world. So I don't know where other people are at, because for me, I look at other people and it's just the possibility that the status quo is absolutely evil. Well, no, it's coming from a place of evil, that it allows war to exist as the fundamental. I've lost the salt for now. We're going to have to go to ghetto manoeuvres. So I'm hesitant in seeing anybody else. It's his body that's perfect. So it doesn't make sense to me. If yours perfect, why wouldn't you be doing something proactive to heal the world? Why are you taking a approach? Got the mortar and pesto out, man. Let some of that aggression out. So this is why I asked, how do you see me? Because in truth, and I've only got a certain amount of battery left, in truth, the way I see you is first and foremost as your body, your life. And in your life, in your body, well, if you're a part of this world, your body needs to be on point. You need to be healthy. You need to be doing it. How can you be secretly applying godlike supernatural powers to your life when the world is still ill? It doesn't make sense to me. If you've got godlike powers, apply it to the world, heal the world. You can't. The world is cleared. And if you're not applying health to your own life in the first fucking instance, well, you're a zombie waiting to die. That's an aspect. But in truth, in reality, that's the most grounded way to view people. Is that really a head fuck? The most grounded, the most real way to view people is what I've said. Because how, in this world that spirituality is written as a possibility of our... There's nothing more other than possibility. Who's out there spiritual? Where are all the spiritual masters levitating and proving that fucking spirituality exists? All spirituality is hidden. If you believe in spirituality, you believe that, well, we had supernatural powers in the past. We were this and we were that. Forget about the nature of was allowed to look like was that. Those were some of the more nicer aspects of spirituality, spiritual powers. Doesn't mean to say that is spirituality in its totality. No, that's what spirituality's ego may have looked like. But then you ask, well, you know, if we had all these abilities from the ancient Mayans to the ancient Egyptians to, well, I don't know how much the ancient Greeks applied it, but The Indians, the Ayurvedic tradition, the Vedas, the wisdom that led to Taoism, you know, it doesn't just get born out of nowhere. The wisdom that led to a martial arts lineage, where the fuck did that come from? God knows how many thousands of years ago. And because we've got pyramids with glass and lights and floors in them, you know, we look at the pyramids as fucking, oh, it's just a load of bricks. But if you do your research to the tools at the time, there's a big gap in the explanation of the possibility of how they could be built. Spirituality. But where is spirituality in this world? Who's really spiritual? So for me, the most grounded way to view anybody is an aspect of an infinite possible story of how spirituality could be running their lives. But in reality, they're not doing a thing. So that's how I view people. It's very cold. It's very lonely, but I've got a label on me of a mental health disorder. Now that label's fine, but that label comes with what's the word? Like when you have something, but there's also something like an asterisk at the end of a statement. I'll get it. Just give me a second. A catch. Comes with a catch, and the catch is you don't just have a label. The catch is that your life changes. The catch is that from that moment on, it's a different level, different aspect, different game. And if you apply any level of health to your life and body, and from my perspective, wisdom to the world, you have to avoid being forced medication. So for me, taking the grounded viewpoint as much as possible, what makes the most sense is what's the wisest thing to do. So for me, you all don't pay any effort in reaching me. As I said, you could be tasting evil. And for all intensive purposes, if we're talking about evil, isn't it? If you're showing me you're a good person, it means you're doing something for yourself, for the world. Well then, for all intensive purposes, you're lost to evil, and the best that you can do is be applying an element of good to come back, and that's probably what I look like. So in that open conversation, I see myself, I see you seeing me, And I guess I have something to work with. I didn't realise I'd find an answer. I didn't think I'd find an answer. But I asked the question, you know, from exactly what I've just expressed, how can you claim, and I'm sure there are ways that my mind hasn't been awoken to yet, but how can you claim that you're doing any good and you're not showing it? You're hiding within evil, aren't you? You're conserving your energy, being patient to come out at the right time. And show your godliness in the right way at the right time, keeping your evil in check. You're working at it from the inside. But again, I don't know what you would call it from the perspective of my godliness. I'm going to be honest. That decision making actively hurts my life, given the world. So I can see your godliness. I know your godliness, because I know my godliness. And what we've just described now, I can't. That's how I've the situation, reality. Tell me where I'm wrong with that. And if that's how I view the situation, your decision making, your patience to come out at the right time is actively hurting me because I'm working at it from a different angle. So I guess, and I've known it on some level, saying to you, hurry the fuck up. You're hurting me. Here's an extra bit of pressure to speed up your incomprehension. Move it. What am I gonna fucking do here? If I've got 8 billion people out there all waiting for the right time, can we make some conscious fucking internet to say, right, here's the right time. What can we do to speed fucking shit up? People are suffering. But I'm not here to question time. Time is time. And the right time is the right time. But because I take a proactive approach, and I believe I can change anything because I believe I'm God, which I believe you believe you're God too, then time is just a concept. And as much as, yeah, in reality it's fundamentally true, it's also just a concept. Get to work with your godliness. Train. So what I'm saying is, you're training because we're all training. We can't not, otherwise we die. What I'm saying is, here guys, you're training. Please train like this. From my perspective. And then you training like this is ultimately what you want anyway. So it's not saying train like this, it's saying, wouldn't it be wise to train like this? So where I find myself. This video, this live stream has distracted me. In check with myself. But to end it, let's do something silly. Let's become a floating head. Just I can't be fucked. I don't have the energy. But anyway, nothing to end with. Nothing to end with. Nothing to end with. Nothing to end with. Settle into build that for myself. And let myself be broken for about 30 seconds in doing that. In everything I've expressed, in everything I've expressed, in everything I've expressed. Everything I've expressed, in everything I've expressed, in everything I've expressed. In everything I've expressed, in everything I've expressed, in everything I've expressed, in everything I've expressed, with everything expressed, in everything I've 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 expressed. In everything I've expressed, 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 in everything. From where I was just speaking, and so I'm gonna request something from a place where it's a little bit more true to where I truly am, and that is I hope the hurt I have inside me isn't a shared hurt.